Conversations on Energy Healing. A series of talks on energetic and informational healing methods. So, hello everyone, and welcome to the first installment of Conversations on Energy Healing. What I hope will be a series of talks on the topic of energy healing, instant energy healing, its applications, its benefits, and also with the aim of reaching as many people as possible in this, for me, this very relevant and very interesting and fascinating topic that I feel it's not known enough by the general public, and it should be, because the results it can give and the benefits it can give people in relieving emotional and physical suffering is really powerful. And I feel that we have to reach more people, and especially not only the already believers, but also the whole population, skeptics, the whole spectrum of people. And so we have to talk in a language that everybody can understand, and make it clear and simple and objective and scientific even. So my name is Elder Pereira, and I'm an energy healing therapy practitioner in Portugal. And I'm also a researcher for a few years on these themes, and also I'm an author. And for this first episode, we have a very special person, and it's very fitting that it's a man that I found on the internet, his work on the internet, and I already had been studying energy healing methods and systems for quite a while, and self-development and all these kind of things for quite a while. But when I saw this, and when I saw this work, this person making instant healing corrections and instantly relieving physical and emotional pains and suffering in people, I was fascinated, and really something internally clicked, and told me that, this is what I was looking for, and this is possible. And since then, I had validated that myself, working with many people, and I see the same results. And it's really fascinating how we can relieve people's suffering so quickly and so efficiently. So his name is Leroy Malouf, and he's an energy healing practitioner from the United States of America, and who's been doing it for quite a while. And he's also teaching his own method and his own way of doing this work, which he calls energetic well-being process. And so it's really a pleasure and honor to be able to talk with him today. So hello, Leroy, how are you doing?
Good, and thank you for your very kind introduction.
You're very welcome. It's really heartfelt. So I wanted to start maybe by asking you how you arrived at this work. I know it's by far not the first career you have, and I wanted to let the listeners know a little bit how you got into this, what spiked your interest, and how it developed.
Well, as I have mentioned before, I'm in my 14th career, and the way I got interested in, let's call it self-development, was that I was raised in West Texas, and I immigrated to Cambridge, Massachusetts, to go to MIT, and it was a big culture shock. It was almost like going to another country.
Yeah.
They indeed spoke kind of different accents and different words, and I had, after I got here, I really badly injured my knee, and so I was, in a fair amount of pain, and I said, "Wow, this is." I was struggling,
Yeah.
and it was really interesting because it's like the first time my mother ever sent me a book, and the book was on how to shift your thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the author had a little exercise where you kind of emptied your mind out and then filled it with love. And so I did that, and probably after about 3 weeks, I woke up and I was just surrounded by and full of love like I had never experienced before.
Wow.
And I said, "Wow, I had reality and unreality reversed. I thought life was struggle and pain and this is love, and I want to live my life this way."
Yeah.
But I had so much stuff to work on in myself,
Mm-hmm.
that it became something I've basically done all my life.
Okay.
Uh, I'm 85 now, and I'm still doing self-development work.
Yes. We're here for that, I guess, no?
I guess so.
So yes, so from the start, I guess you found you noticed then the relationship between the symptoms you had, like the knee pain and all that, and the life circumstances that you were living.
Right. Yes. I mean, it was a direct reflection, if you will.
Okay.
And I have found that let me put it a different way. Our symptoms have intelligence.
Mm.
They're trying to tell us what to work on.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, if I look at that knee pain, it was saying that life was painful, and in some ways, I didn't feel like I had a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Another kind of example is have a client who came and she said, I was in an automobile accident 25 years ago, and I got whiplash. My neck got twisted,
Mm-hmm.
and I have had neck pain ever since. And she said it gets better, it gets worse,
Mm-hmm.
but it never goes away.
Yeah.
And I checked her energy, and I said, well, what it feels like, if you think of neck and pain, I said, it feels like there's about 7 things in your life that are a big pain in the neck.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, oh, yes, well, there's this about money, and this about my spouse, and this about work. And she went right down the line.
Yeah.
And as soon as we worked with her on those life issues, is what I call them,
Yeah.
the neck pain went away.
Okay, and for people who are not, into this work and completely new to this, how do you do that? So how do you think we clear these issues? How do we clear the issues, and how do you think they get cleared and people really feel relieved?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because when things happen quickly, like the pain goes away,
Yes.
the person's saying, "What's that? How did you do that?"
Exactly. Yeah, that's my experience as well. People sometimes get like, "What happened?" That's what I love. That's actually, sorry to interrupt, but when I saw your video, that's what really excited me, was that the admiration. People got really like, "Oh, what happened?" And that whenever I see their face, like I say it's worth it. That makes my life, my work worth it. I love it. So,
well, let's take a logical answer first.
Yeah.
Okay. It's one way of saying how does it go away is you find the person's truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You've probably heard the saying, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free."
Yeah.
Well, the truth for that lady, that many things in her life were a big pain in the neck.
Yeah.
That was enough.
Yeah.
To cause that pain to go away.
That realization, yes. So it made the connection between the cause and the actual symptoms.
Right. It was a big aha.
Yes. And
now another way of thinking of it is think about deprogramming. right? So we have this computer in our brain, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we get thought patterns.
Yes.
So suppose we go in and say, okay, we're going to deprogram uh, all the root causes of you having pain, and one of them clearly is the things in your life that are a pain in the neck. So once we find that truth, we're actually deprogramming that. We're changing the programming in the brain's computer.
Yeah, yeah.
And then though we want to reprogram. And typically, I talk about reprogramming to the true self of the person. Now, this is another whole subject, which is, well, what's the positive pattern that a person has? Um, when you say to a person, "Who are you?" Well, typically we think about, well, I'm a human being, and I'm an energy worker, or I'm a mechanic, or I'm an engineer, or
Yes.
I'm a housewife, whatever it is.
Yes.
Um, we typically think of it that way, but let me put it another way. About 70% of people are carrying anger. Now, I have a colleague who does anger management classes. People are ordered by the court. They've somehow acted up, and they're ordered by the court to go to an anger management class.
Yes,
And
yes.
he says it's higher than 70%.
Yeah. Sure.
Right. Uh, and and typically it for a lot of people it's buried. You
Yes.
know,
Yes, yes,
uh,
yes.
they know they'll react once in a while
Yeah.
out of anger, but okay, that was just a kind of
Because
one.
yeah, that's the best way that people, that's the best they know, I'd say. I've when I have clients, I often say that, sometimes they buried a lot of stuff and they're really afraid to bring it up because they're
Yeah,
gonna suffer again. But
yeah,
I always say, because I do understand that, we all went through these periods and pains in our lives, and we really don't want to experience it again. But I always say, believe me, it's the last time you're going to experience this, so you have to let it surface for the last time. Because and that's really a relief for people when they know that that can happen, and that's why I feel this is so new.
well, yes, and um, what people don't realize is that they've buried it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and so and also if you think of our different cultures, we know we're not supposed to be angry and we're not supposed to have outbursts. So that's another reason why we kind of bury it, because
Yeah,
we're quote not supposed to be doing it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yet
um,
yet anger is it's better than depression in a way. It's
yeah, definitely.
there's more energy there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, some people feed on that anger too. They think, oh well, this is a way I kind of get my energy up and
Yes,
make
yes.
things happen.
True, true.
So, so then, though, let's get back to the question: Who are you? Well, what I've found is that by asking a person, "When have you experienced unconditional love?" Right?
Yeah.
A lot of times people say, "Well, I don't know if I ever have." So I'll say, "Well, okay, let me suggest something." Um, I'll say, "Do you have a pet?"
Yeah.
And I'll explain to them that a dog's tail wag, a cat's purr, a songbird's song vibrate at a consciousness level higher than most human beings. So I'll ask them, "What did you experience with your pet?"
Yeah.
And they'll say, "Well, I was comfort. They're always there for me.
Yeah. They're
Uh,
always there. Yeah.
play, um, and acceptance, support. My dog will come up, and if I'm not feeling well, will come up. And if I'm in my bed and sit right by my bed or lie on my bed with me. Um, so I ask people to start capturing those words: support, acceptance, fun, and exuberance. And there's all kinds of words people come up with. And so I'll identify all those words. I actually, when I've worked with a client, I'll keep track of those and I'll send them to them. I'll send the list to them. And I'll say, you know what? This is about the best description there is of who you really are.
Okay, that's very beautiful. Yeah, and that's true. And it's really sad that most of us can't really identify a time where we really felt that, and yet I also believe it's our essential nature. So when all the shadows, all the clunk we accumulated, and that start being activated as we grow up, because when we're children we express that essential nature, then we forget about it. We literally cover it, and when I see people being relieved of this with this work, I literally see their face lights up. So there's more light, there's more openness, and they seem more radiant. They're literally more radiant. So that's the light that's already there, buried.
Yeah.
So that's very nice. Yeah, let me. Yeah.
Well, excuse me for interrupting you, but no. The other thing I do is I say to people, do you realize that when you were 5 years old, you were going strong to 90% of your life?
Yes, true.
Right.
Yeah.
And average for adults is about 20%.
Yeah, I believe
and,
that.
And I'll say, well, so that means what's the 80%? It's being irritated, frustrated, upset, reacting, judging yourself, judging others, depressed, etc.
Yeah. All because of programming we have accumulated.
Yeah, exactly.
And so this
and that kind of opens people's eyes. Oh yeah.
Nice. So just going back a little bit on the trying to explain this. This is my fascination as well. Trying to explain this kind of a little bit esoteric or metaphysical, if you will, or mysterious ways that this happens in a kind of a more objective way. And sometimes, I'm working with clients, and I know from many experiences I had that you don't even have to verbalize what you're tuning into. So if I'm, for example, trying to help a person with pain on their back, for example, and I don't even verbalize it. Sometimes the information is so quick that I lose concentration if I have to verbalize. So I just, for example, I noticed that it has to do with their low self-esteem, for example, or whatever. But I don't even have to verbalize. But the moment I see that, and I feel a transformation in me, so it's the correction from, as we use the term, from weak to strong. So when I see the transformation, that the person is strong for that feeling of low self-worth or whatever it is, then I feel the shift. I notice something happens in them, and I ask them, so how do you feel now? And so the pain gets better. And I've experienced this many times. I have no doubt that there's this connection. What do you make of this? And how would you explain it? Or have you ever thought about this?
Well, again, it's helping to find what are the root causes. In other words, and I mentioned life issues before. See, another thing I say to people is we don't really have health issues. What we have are life issues. And when they get that connection, then that's eye-opening for them.
But even without verbalizing, so we have to be connected, me and the other person, so that this happens. Yes, because even if it's just me seeing that for them, it happens.
It does, and though it helps them to understand that the life issues are what's going on in terms of what's underneath it.
Yeah. I had many people who never thought like that, and now they really take it seriously whenever they have pains or something. They're really, I'm upset because of this or that. It's really interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so going forward a little bit about we mentioned culture, and in our culture. And at least my experience is that, I'm fascinated how advanced and sophisticated these kinds of healing methods are. But still they are not very much known or studied, even scientifically. And so there seems to be a general ignorance or resistance to them and their mode of functioning. So do you find that in your own culture, in your own country, and in your own experience, that these approaches are more welcomed maybe nowadays, or have they evolved? People go for them when they are in suffering, or is just a last resource?
Well, it's been evolving over time, and let's explain why people haven't initially gone for, let's call it, alternative means. You see, in the medical profession, the assumption is that if there's something physically wrong with you, that 98% of the root causes are physical.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Still, which I think it's amazing how they still believe that.
Right. But then what has happened is that, for example, people will go get a massage and they feel better.
Yeah.
Or they'll go to a chiropractor and they feel better. Or they'll go get a Reiki treatment and they feel better. And they report back to the traditional medical people. And so there's been a growing acceptance of these alternative means of getting help. And in fact, even in some hospitals, for example, they'll have a section now of a massage therapist or some other modality.
Yeah.
So it's been getting greater and greater acceptance as time has gone on.
Okay, that's been your experience as well in your country and along the years that you've been in the field, yes?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool. I've also read, I think it was one in your books or in your blog, I don't remember, that you had some collaboration with local doctors, so they would refer patients to you and then they would go back, and that seems like a very, very, very good thing and very advanced thing. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I met this doctor at one of the numerous modalities I've gone and experienced. Mm-hmm. And we hit it off with each other. And so we kept in touch after that. And we worked with each other to doing the energy work. And she began to integrate it into her practice.
Very interesting.
And also, instead of going the only using prescription drugs, she began to investigate and to suggest to people to use many supplements to help with whatever was troubling them. Mm-hmm. So she became very, very immersed in the alternative energy and medicine field, if you will.
Okay.
In fact, she even supported my coming and doing, having sessions, and she would invite her patients to come to experience getting help for eliminating their symptoms.
Oh, that's
yeah,
that's very interesting, and it's a beautiful thing to start seeing these collaborations, because in my own work I see that people sometimes don't get relief with the conventional treatments, and they're very good and they have their place, but sometimes they don't work, and they find relief this way. And I would love to to be able to integrate both, because I think they both have their place and will get people to a higher level, I'd say.
Yeah, I believe over time it will happen more and more. I mean, there'll always be kind of the strict traditional medical approach, and that's fine. What I say to people is that there's numerous modalities and products, and the great thing is that every one of them works for numerous people.
Uh-huh.
There are, if you look at traditional medicine, there's miracles they perform with people
Yeah.
as well. You know, in terms of um,
Sure.
uh, organ replacement
Oh,
or
yes, many things.
many things.
Yeah.
So, and what I do is whatever a person has decided the modality they want to use, I support them in
Yeah.
whatever they're doing. I help get their
Yeah.
energy strong
Yes, yes.
to fully benefit from
Yeah.
whatever they have chosen
Yeah.
to do.
Yes, and that can be a great help. Yeah, I totally agree with you, and yeah, that's a very good way forward. And do you have any other ideas of how these methods could become more widespread and accepted by people and the society in general? Do you think it's just gonna happen naturally, or there are things that we could do?
Um, I believe, well, for example, I gave a presentation several months ago to a group in another state close by. Um, it was like a holistic healing organization. I don't mean a formal organization, but people kind of voluntarily would come together, and they represented numerous modalities
Mm-hmm.
that alternative modalities that they were using,
Mm-hmm.
and they were completely accepting of what each other were doing, and
Mm.
I think the more that happens, the more widespread this will become.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. But I still see a gap between the conventional and the unconventional, and at least my passion will be to create a bridge, and that really becomes truly universal, so that doesn't become like a fringe of methods that are weird or something, but are part of a holistic way of seeing things. But that implies a completely different way of actually seeing the human being and the universe at large. Because if this works like this instantly and so fast, and then we really have to readdress and the way we see things, and don't you agree?
Well, yes, and I think the more, as I say, the more that we help people and they go back and report to their practitioners in traditional medicine, I believe there will be more and more acceptance.
Okay, but yeah, that's the thing. I noticed in my I've started this only about 4 years ago, I think, and I thought the results would speak by themselves, and they do. So people, the word has been spreading by word of mouth mostly. I'm in a small town anyway. But yes, but I don't see. I see people are really afraid of. They don't know where to put this.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And I
yeah.
see it as a big obstacle, and that I'm trying to overcome. And that's why I try to do public presentations and try to explain because I'm a scientist by education, and I try to explain this the most scientifically as possible as I can. But still, people really, mistake this for many things, and there's a big confusion and resistance regarding this. That's at least has been my experience. Maybe in the United States it's different, or it was like this maybe a few years ago, and now it's become different.
I think there's people who absolutely still would not accept anything alternative.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, but I believe the acceptance is growing over time.
Okay, that's optimistic news. I'm happy. I mean, this is proof of this. I'm talking here. I'm in Portugal, you're in the United States, and we are starting. We are starting to talk about this here as well, more deeply. I see it on TV more and more as well. Different practitioners in Portugal that I didn't even know existed, doing very similar work and doing beautiful work and really helping very, very important, people with serious problems. And I think,
This reminds me, by the way, at my annual physical a couple of years ago,
uh-huh.
The nurse practitioner um, picked up a heart murmur.
A heart murmur. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh," and she said, "It's one of your valves and your heart is leaking."
Okay.
I'm sorry. She said, "Go get." She wanted a deeper scan, so she
Yes.
sent me a traditional doctor. Oh, well, she's in traditional too, but she wanted a deeper
Mm-hmm.
scan of my heart and chest,
Mm-hmm.
and so they got the results and said, "Go see this doctor who specializes in heart problems." And I went to see him, and he said, "Oh, well, there's a slight leakage in one of your valves." And I said, "Oh, well, that's fine." He said, "Come back and see me in a year." I said, "It'll be gone by then." And
That I'm sure he doesn't hear that often, no?
I know he doesn't. And he said, "Wow, well, that's a positive attitude." So
How
sure
much
enough,
confidence?
sure enough, I cleared it away and went back to the nurse practitioner, and she was listening to my heart. And I said, "I'm kind of curious. Did you hear the murmur?" She said, "No, it's gone."
Ah, and so she sent you home without any medication or anything? It was something just to be checked every year?
Yeah, it was just to be checked every year, right?
Okay. And so you started working on it immediately? Was it hard
Oh,
working on
yeah.
yourself? How was the process?
Oh, well, it's really interesting. I don't know if you've heard about let's see, there's an alternative practitioner in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a couple of examples. Um, there's a practitioner in Germany
Mm-hmm.
who was working with a man, um, and the man. Let me remember exactly
Mm-hmm.
how he said it. Uh, oh yeah, I don't remember exactly what part of his body had a problem,
Mm-hmm.
but what the man decided to do, he started saying to himself, "Every little cell, I'll use the heart. Every little cell in my heart is happy. Every little cell in my heart is well."
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's
Yeah.
one of the things I did with the heart murmur.
All right. Okay.
And I'd say, "Every little cell in my valves is happy. Every
Uh-huh.
little cell in my valves as well."
So it's a kind of affirmations kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the guy did that, and whatever his problem was gone in a year.
Okay.
Uh,
He
and
would do that
then,
every day, no?
oh yeah, I was doing that every day. There
Okay.
are two or three little mantras like that I would use.
Okay.
And then there was, I think it was Greg Braden, I believe his name
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
was in China and was in. There are some medicineless hospitals in China,
Mm-hmm.
and he was in one of them. And two doctors were working on a patient that had a lump in their chest, and he was watching on a scan while they were doing it. He could see the lump, and while he was watching, the lump disappeared.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what I understood, he said the Chinese doctors were saying, already healed, already done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I don't know the literal Chinese
Yes,
translation,
of
but that
course.
was the understanding I got. It
Uh-huh.
was already healed, already done.
Uh-huh.
And I use that with myself and others as well.
Okay. Yeah. So it's again a question of seeing it happen. So when you see it that it's done, it's done.
Yeah,
So again, we reach another level with this. We reach it's the real underpinnings of reality. So we could get into a big new topic here because I believe this has to do with the new science of, maybe quantum physics and all that, but we won't get into that. So, you did all these affirmations and then you trusted it. You just felt that it was done, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
really interesting.
already healed, already done.
So you didn't work for a whole year on that?
I don't know how long it took to actually do it, but I would just, without uh, getting too upset about it or anything, I would just, whenever I thought of it, I'd just say that. It was done.
Yeah. So you didn't think about using the instant healing methods on that?
Well, this is another way of doing it.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So I understand there. Just to say that there are many different ways of reaching a goal.
Yeah.
The same
goal. The other thing I probably did too, and that's right. If you think of heart and how it signifies love, and if there's a problem, then another way of looking at it is to say, well, wait a minute. What's the problem with, if you take the vow, what's the problem of love not flowing in my life?
Yeah. That's the metaphor, no?
So I remember now I did some of that as well, and cleared away I found some things. I don't exactly remember what they were, but
yes.
I found some things and cleared those away as well.
Yeah, nice. So, and the doctor was really surprised.
Oh yeah.
That doesn't usually happen then.
No.
All right, that's very nice story and inspiration for us. So yeah, it was. So just to finalize the conversation, then, do you have any final advice or final some words to our listeners about the things you learned? You already mentioned many things, but any specific things you would like to say?
Yeah, just that if a person will just do some of these relatively small shifts, in a way, they're reprogramming themselves.
Yeah.
Like another one, I get my energy to 100% every day.
In
and
the morning, that's how you start the day?
Yes.
Okay.
And if I forget to start it that way, I'll check it during the day and make sure it's at 100.
All right.
And so I suggest that's one of the things I suggest to people. Focus on your midline. Get more and more aware of what you do that goes weak and what you do that goes strong.
Yeah.
And start off by getting your energy strong every day. I said, what's the option? Going through the day weak.
Yeah.
So that's the way I kind of say, let's just start with the little things and
nice. And that's very good advice. And the way you just feel you're stronger. Yes, because I'm talking. I know I do this work as well. But for a person that's completely new to this, this whole talk about energy and and feeling your energy strong, they probably don't. But it's just a matter of you have to develop an awareness of your energy flow and the difference between being strong and weak. Correct?
Yes, and a lot of people say, "Well, I don't understand that," and you can give them, some demonstrations. But
yes.
What I say to them is, it's a skill.
Yes.
If you think, it's a skill to get your energy strong every day, and it's a skill to deprogram, reprogram. Yeah. It's something that can be learned. It's not, something that somebody else has to do for you. You can learn to do it yourself.
It's like riding a bicycle. Then it gets easier.
Exactly.
A science and an art at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, Leroy, thank you very, very much for allowing to have this interview with you and this very nice conversation, and for giving us your perspective and advice on things. I know you have a lot of experience on this, so I'm very, very honored to have you as my first guest, and I thank you very much.
And I'm very honored to be your first guest. And you're welcome, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Leroy. So
okay.
Take care then.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much, also all our listeners for listening to our first episode on conversations on energy healing. I hope it was helpful to you. I hope it makes you think about these issues and really get to know alternative ways of being well and getting well and staying well. So thank you very much, and see you next time.